Today we'll be going over how I accidentally became a growth operator and generated $2,542,556 over the last about year and a half, 2 years. And so these are our WAP screenshots, just so you know I'm not bullshitting, I'm not lying. We put up about 2.1 million on WAP since we launched in August of 2024 till now, and about 434,000 processed on Stripe. And a handful also was wired to us and Zelled to us, so that's not factored into here. So this number is likely like 2.7, maybe 2.8 million with those factored in. So today we're going to be talking over a couple things. Number one over here is how I accidentally became a growth operator. Second is how we launched ECG and the course that I currently growth operate for and that I'm a partner in and what that looked like. And then finally, how I would launch an offer today and the core fundamentals that would go into launching that offer as well. So if you guys are interested in using your expertise or doing whatever you currently do with business and using that to also launch an offer, you can learn how to do so through this video, hopefully. That's my goal. So first, the fun part, diving into a little bit of my story and how I accidentally became a growth operator, because I will tell you from age 16 till now at 21, my goal wasn't to become a growth operator. At 16, I saw a post of someone else reselling sneakers online who was from my hometown. His name's Dejan Park. And as a lot of people were doing back in 2020, 2021, he was reselling sneakers and he had been in the game for a while. I saw that. I had just finished working a summer camp job the whole summer, working 8 hours a day at 16, making, I think it was like $13.50, I want to say, per hour, working with 6, 7, 8-year-old kids in the burning hot of the summer, on like turf fields, stuff like that. Horrible. And this isn't like some 9 to 5, like, oh, I quit my 9 to 5 because I hated working for a Boston corporate or any bullshit. That's not what motivated me to go resell sneakers. I just always had an interest in money. So I started doing that and it was going pretty well. I took my $2,000 and over the course of the next 6 months, I probably spiraled that into 10, maybe 15K in the bank, all debit. And then I moved into, after that, from sneaker reselling, some of my friends were talking about Amazon and selling shoes on Amazon and how the ROI was so much higher when you're selling it on Amazon versus selling it to StockX, GOAT, or other resellers. And so then I looked into that. And this is probably about 6 months or 12 year to 2 years in the journey. That spiraled it from 10, 15,000 in the bank to nearly 100,000 in the bank, all before 2 years of reselling. And so at that point, that's when I really got a taste of entrepreneurship and kind of the side hustle Amazon selling culture. And it really, really excited me. I mean, how can you not be 17, making $10,000 or $15,000 per month selling shoes and not get excited about that? But soon after that, I begun coaching other people how to sell shoes on Amazon. I was just getting paid $1,000 or $2,000 a month just to answer questions, hop on one-to-one calls, do group calls and stuff like that. But that is how I originally got into coaching, and that was my first taste of coaching. This is how I accidentally got into growth operating. Through that community, I started a VA hiring service, and then that's what made me realize okay, I have a skill set through VA hiring that I could also monetize through the community and help other people get VAs. And so then I launched a VA hiring service. And that is something that's still actively running today. I don't push it, it's all back end, it's just the clients we work with. But you can see from the time we launched it at the end of 2024 till now, it is just steadily grown and grown and grown to the point where we're doing about 60K in monthly recurring revenue right now. And my profit roughly off that is about 10 to 12K, just reoccurring. And I'm not bullshitting you, I literally spend, this is the most passive I think income can get. And then this eventually landed us to the next big breakthrough of how I became a growth operator. So through this VA hiring service, looping way back, there's a lot of interconnections here, but one of the guys I started sneaker reselling with at the way beginning, his name was Noah, and funny enough, Noah began to work for this guy right here, Dan, who is a very, very big Amazon seller, who does tens of millions of dollars a year in Amazon sales. And Noah began working with him as a buyer for his company. And so Dan, at one point, needed VAs for his company. And so then he connected me to Dan saying, hey, Dan wants 5 VAs or whatever the number was. Can you help him out? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out to his warehouse and I'm going to talk to him in person. We were talking about VAs. We landed on a handshake deal for the VA hiring service. It was like 5 VAs for, I don't know, maybe $2,000. It wasn't that much. I gave him a pretty good discount. And after that, he was saying, hey Jack, like Noah was mentioning that you do arbitrage coaching. Like, how's that going? And I was running him through everything, like what I was doing, my responsibilities. And then he goes, that's something that I've always wanted to do. I just never have had the time for it. And then it just snapped, and it was a light bulb. And I was like, you know what? Like we can help you. Mind you, at this point, I'm the coach. Like, I'm the bottom of the tier coach of an arbitrage group. I don't know anything about sales. I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about offer creation. I know nothing about the front end of the info. I just know the back end of how to build products, how to deliver, how to get people, valuable information and coach them to success. And so then I called up Dejan, who's running the front end side of things with the marketing, sales, all that, right? And I was like, I think I just might have landed us a very big opportunity. We hop on the phone. A week later, we pitched Dan on what the partnership could look like, and like what the percents and the responsibilities breakdowns and all that would be. And he said, yeah, I'm down, let's do it. And so then we were officially partners with Dan, and that's how ECG came about. And through ECG Wholesale, this is the opportunity that continued to grow and grow and grow into the point of where I'm at today of becoming a growth operator. And now when I say like I accidentally became a growth operator, I don't want anyone watching this video to assume like, oh, like I can become a growth operator and, or I could launch a course and, make $2.5 million. That's not how it went. First off, we had a team of, it ranged depending on the month, but about 8 to 10 people, majority of the people working full time. And so this isn't just a me thing, it's a team thing. And there's a lot of systems, and it took a lot of work behind the scenes to actually get to the point where we're at today. And again, this wasn't an overnight success. And I'm not just showing this to be like, oh, like I work hard, look how cool I am. But this is my schedule in January of 2025 when we were like really, really trying to push ECG forward. And this was the month where we had a record month of doing, I think it was $260K in cash collected. And so, I mean, you can see here, but literally every single day I'm on calls from 9:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. On this Monday, I took 15 calls in one day. And that is what my week looked like for months on end. Even that was a year and a half ago at this point. And over the last 2 years since I dropped out of college, every week has looked like this. I take less calls now because I'm more in a leadership position, but hours-wise and like chaos of schedule-wise, every single week looks like this. And so again, I don't want anyone to get a false assumption here. I want to be transparent as I'm making more content for people about like the truth of running an actual business and an actual coaching business, because a lot of people assume it's just like you make your guides, you post a little bit of content, and you're like, all right, I do coaching, and then you do hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. That's not how it works, especially nowadays. It takes a lot of work, and it takes the proper systems and the proper team behind it in order to hit these numbers, in order to scale properly. And so that's just like a disclaimer I want to put out there. But that being said, through this partnership again, through creating ECG Wholesale with Dan and Dejan, this is what resulted in us putting up to date $2.5 million between this. And again, this number is a little bit higher. I think it's about 2.7 when you factor in sales and wires. And so that's about, on average, I think our monthly average since the date we launched till now is about $140,000 per month in cash collected, and that's about what we're at currently. And we're actively trying to scale it to about 250, and I think we'll be hitting 250K per month pretty soon here. And all while doing so, again, I did it with a team that I love, and that the whole team loved each other, and that we were putting a lot of effort together. All while working with a team of people that I actually respected and loved, and that we all cared about each other, and we had fun while doing it, more importantly. But that being said, everyone in these photos, everyone on the team, they put in an equal amount of work to me, and they were putting in the 50, 60, 70-hour weeks as well. And so it was a team effort to push forward and hit these numbers. But in doing so, we learned a ton about what it takes to run a profitable coaching business. You have to be able to go to a cold audience and be able to pull that person all the way through by showing unique mechanisms and done-for-you aspects in your offer in order to entice them enough to want to join you, want to join the program, and want to work with you. And so honestly, it's less so, in my opinion, the business now is less so a coaching business, and it's more almost a service-based business where you're doing services and you're doing things for them to help them kickstart the business and grow. There's definitely coaching and information involved, but there's also done-for-you aspects and service aspects involved here too. So this is how I accidentally became a growth op. Again, I went from sneaker reselling to Amazon reselling plus coaching on Amazon, to launching a VA service, to being connected with Dan to help him with that VA service, to launching coaching with Dan, to scaling that on the back end. And we'll talk about a lot of what that looked like, because I know obviously it isn't just like, oh cool, handshake deal, we launched with Dan, and next day now we're doing 2.5 million. There's a lot that's gone on in the back end over the last 2 years, and my goal of starting this channel and posting content is to teach you guys these lessons of what went from day one till now in order to help scale this. And so that's the next thing I want to go over in this video, is actually how we launched ECG and what went into launching with ECG and kind of the back end at a high level, so you have at least some idea of what the first couple months look like for us. And so step one is obviously finding Dan, and that's what we just talked about. But through the VA service, we got connected. That's how we found Dan. That's how I found out he was interested in coaching. And so step two of that, like I mentioned, was partnering with Dan. And so what this looks like was me and Dejan getting on a call with Dan and pretty much just laying out what are all the responsibilities, who brings what to the table, who's going to be doing what actively in this partnership, and what the timeline looks like, and what we believe the percents were fair, and what a fair breakdown was. And so this is the actual screenshot from the responsibility slide of our pitch deck. But on the ECG/Dejan side, that was building the setting and sales process, that was building and maintaining the setting and sales team, that was building and managing the content marketing plan plus team, and that was converting our current clients, the arbitrage clients, and audience over to this offer and ascending them to wholesale. On my side, I was kind of the partner guy and the product guy and the offer guy of this partnership. And my responsibilities were building out the product, building out the onboarding SOPs, taking one-to-one calls and DM support, owning the client path of progression plans, building out the community, doing the group calls, making sure that our capacity operations were good enough so that we could take on as many clients as we're able to sell, and then also creating upsells for clients so that we could increase our LTV and make sure that we're making more dollars per client that we're signing up. And then on Dan's side, it was to teach me wholesale so I understood the model and I could teach others, and then filming once per week so we could get content out there to attract a larger audience, and then doing one group call per week to help coach the students inside the program. So that was partnering with ECG and with Dan. And then the next step of that, once we agreed on the partnership, was to actually go out and build the back end of ECG and to start to do everything to actually be able to attract clients and sell people and deliver on our promise. And so step one of that was making content. And so here's a screenshot from some of the initial reels that we're posting with Dan. But we had a content team at the time, and a lot of the strategies that we're implementing with them was just getting initial organic content out there on the Instagram side of things. So one thing when you're launching, getting content out is extremely important. But you don't want to stretch yourself too thin where you're posting a shit ton of YouTube videos, you're trying to run ads, you're trying to do organic content as well. You want to pick one thing at the start and just try to get really good with that. And so for us, that was organic content on Instagram for short form. And so we were just doing that at the start, no YouTube, no ads, nothing else, just Instagram Reels. And we weren't even cross-posting them. We should have been, but we weren't cross-posting to TikTok, YouTube, or anything else. It was just Instagram. And so we started with that. That was step one. Before we launched or began selling anything, we were just posting about a month worth of content, talking about Dan's story, talking about the lessons he had learned, talking about just like trying to give out value and just trying to attract an audience based upon Dan's lessons and stories. And then from there, on the back end, I went ahead and I started building out the product. This is not what it looked like from day one. This is what it looks like today. But I was building out the actual the phase-by-phase structure in the curriculum that they would work through. And alongside that, again, not just the guys, but what we were going to do for each client between each phase and how we're going to help them get to a success point as quickly as possible. And then second to that, I was also building out the community that people were going to be joining into, the structure of the community, call structures, group call structures, DM support, one-to-one support, that whole deal. So basically, holistically, I was on the back end as they were on the front end making content. I was on the back end making sure that we had a really good product that people would get results from quickly when they signed up. And then finally, we put together our offer and we put together our sales packaging and sales motion. So basically, from a high level, what this looks like is that we set up our funnel. So having setters go through Dan's DMs, message people, talk to people, try to book in calls, having a call funnel where they could land on a website and book in a call that way. And then, of course, the whole sales motion. So pre-call process of like what we're doing before they actually got on the call, what the actual call, the sales call looked like for discovery frameworks, sales presentation, objection handling, and if they didn't close, a follow-up process. If they did close, an onboarding process, and that whole deal for the sales motion. There's a lot more that goes into it, but from a high level, that was roughly it. At least at the start, our sales process and our content strategies and our product is a lot more complicated today, but these were kind of the bare bones of it from day one. And honestly, and so these were kind of the bare bones of it from day one. So step one was building up the back end of ECG so we could actually go to market and launch. And then the next part of that, and again, this process probably took about 3 weeks. Once we got all that done, the next step was actually launching ECG. And so from a high level, how we did this was number one was setters messaging people from Dan's account. And this is an example from my account from recent day. But we would send messages just like this, like, hey, Kevin, you selling on Amazon? Really basic stuff. We were just trying to start conversations with people in the DMs and see if they're selling on Amazon, see what model they're currently doing, see if they've ever heard about wholesale, see why they haven't tried wholesale before, and figure out what the block is from where they're currently at versus where they want to be, which is wholesale. And then from there, getting them on a call. And it was just as simple as that. We would have people go through all of Dan's followers, everyone that was liking posts, everyone that was viewing our stories, everyone that was engaging with anything at all on our Instagram, and we would just message them, start conversations, get them on a sales call, and pitch them ECG. That plus like the actual like launch day, we posted on the main feed of Dan being like, here's my total volume year to date. I'm officially doing coaching and helping other people, implement the model that I've learned through my business. The unique mechanism, or what we called that model, was the brand direct blueprint. And so that basically was our offering throughout all of our marketing. Was Dan would post, saying he did a certain amount in sales. I think at that point it was like 50 million lifetime. And so he was basically explaining his story, being like, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I was a real estate broker. I got into Amazon arbitrage. I scaled that into wholesale, and now up to date, I've done 50 million. Through that process, I learned there's a repeatable system that other people can plug and play into their business to do the same thing. And so now I'm officially bringing that to the Amazon world, and I'm coaching and helping other people implement that blueprint into their business so that they can also get into wholesale. And so that was like kind of our launch post through our main feed and also our stories as well. And so we set that live. We booked in a ton of calls, and I believe in our first month, we did about 25K in cash collected. And so that was the last point. That was our launch. And then obviously from day one, just posting Instagram short form reels isn't gonna scale a business to 100K plus a month. We knew that. We just wanted to get the offer live. And that was the first thing we could the box we could check. We weren't ready to get out YouTube videos on a repeatable basis. We weren't ready to start ad campaigns because our sales process wasn't good enough yet. And so we just wanted to start there, get the offer live, get some cash coming in, and we could expand and scale from there. And so that was to the launch point. After that, we go into scaling ECG and kind of scaling the group. And this was our actual, from our internal CRM, but our growth path. So month one, August, when we launched, I think we launched on August 8th, we did 25K cash collected. Month 2 in September, we did 30K. Month 3 in October, we did 36K. Month 4 in November, we did 52. Month 5 in December, we did 75 in new cash collected. And then in January of 2025, we did 263,000 in one single month. And that was new cash collected. That wasn't counting payment plans that came over from the month before. Total cash collected for that month was probably close to 300,000 in 1 month. And so obviously, again, I want to make it clear, this wasn't done by just posting Instagram Reels, messaging people, and just selling them. Yes, that is how we launched, but over the following 5 months, there was a lot of systems put into place on the long form side of things with YouTube, on the sales motion side of things with getting better setter practices into place, and going outside of just our following to a cold audience, for developing a funnel, for developing better pre-call processes, for developing referral programs, for our word of mouth just spreading, and a million other things in between. And I could go on and on and on for literally hundreds of topics about how to scale a coaching offer and everything that went into this, but it would take hours. And so this is what I'll do in the future and explain these tactics. But at least for right now, from a high level, you can see the growth path, but I want you guys to all understand that there was a ton of growing pains and a ton of changes that we had to make in the business to get to the point where we're launching and doing 20K to 10X that 5 months later, almost over 10X that, 11, 12X that into January. A lot had to change, a lot changed. And so we'll overview that in future videos, but today I just want to go over simply my story of how I got into the position of where I got as a growth operator and how we took the first initial step to launch ECG, which has been the program that I've learned all of my growth operating kind of knowledge and skill sets through. So that's scaling ECG, and again, we'll talk over way more about this in the future. And again, that's January 2025. As the date of I'm filming this is June 4th, 2026. And we've done a lot more cash since then. And so there's even more lessons that we've done since then about like going to a paid audience, going to a cold audience, developing the sales process even more. So we'll talk about this stuff in the future. The third part of the video is I want to go over loosely, again, at a high level, the basic core fundamentals of how I would recommend you launch an offer today. Because again, the basic, I post content, I do one group call per week. You can ask me questions in the DMs and sign up for my course for $5,000. That does not work anymore. When we were launching, it worked better then, and we were the first to market, or like we're probably like second to market with the wholesale stuff. And so we're able to capture an audience that way. If you were to launch an Amazon wholesale offer today, I almost guarantee no matter what your sales numbers are, if that's your structure, you would not do well. And so that's what I mean when over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of different lessons and just like growing pains that we face to even today. Like our offer is very different than what it once was, because if we had that same offer today, we would be doing less than 20K, and I almost guarantee that. And so that being said, how I'd launch an offer today, again, the core fundamentals, and there's a lot that goes underneath this, is number one, you have to build an organic audience around your expertise. In my opinion, I know some people just want to launch and go straight to paid. In my opinion, you should really have an organic audience first for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is much easier to sell an organic audience when you launch something versus a cold audience. Number two, everything you do organically will just only help you when you go to paid eventually a couple months down the line. Number three, it helps you refine all of your internal systems so that when you do go to paid, nothing breaks, or a lot less breaks. And so the example I'll give is like if from day one we went to paid, we would lose a ton of money because our pre-call emails, our pre-call texts, our reminder sequences, our sales processes, our actual skill sets of selling to a colder audience on call, our setter flows, our onboarding flows, everything was not good enough to sell to a cold audience, to someone that doesn't know who Dan was. Now today it is, but again, that's after 2 years of going through the motions and developing and iterating and refining. And so I would recommend you start organic. If you have any goal of starting a coaching offer in the future, I would start posting content now, because obviously if you start posting content from day one like we did, it's harder to get cash from day one. And that's part of the reason why that scaling curve, as you saw through us, happened, was because we started posting content and then 2 weeks later we were selling a course. Now, if you do the opposite and you post content for 6 months to a year plus, and then you launch a course, you can just capitalize more upon that. But you still need a content system to create consistent lead flow and a sales motion to create consistent lead flow into the extended future. So you might have a better launch, but if you don't have the systems, that'll dry up quickly and you'll just kind of squeeze your current audience that you've built. But all that to be said, step number one is build an audience around your expertise. Now, I know a lot of you people out there, including me, like you don't want to make content, or you think that there's a lot of corny content out there. What I would encourage you, and the frame I would encourage you to kind of like look at content with, is just make content you would consume. Like whatever content you like and whatever's authentic to you, just do. Like this video and this breakdown, this is like something that I would watch. And all the content that I make will be like that. Like all I care about in the videos I consume, it isn't any like flashy bullshit. It isn't like any whatever dopamine spiking, like cool life, driving cars, whatever. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I drive a Honda Pilot. But what I do care about and what really interests me is the game of business. And so I am fascinated by how can we make our sales processes better? How can we make our product better? How can we grow this business and everything that goes into that? And so the content, my whole feed is just stuff around that on YouTube, Instagram, any social media platform. It is just around very, very tactical, niche business insights. And so that's the content that I'll make. And I know that I'll attract less people because of that, but I'm okay with that because I'm attracting the audience that is like me. And I don't want to attract an audience of like 15-year-olds who like want to go fucking rent a Lambo and go do that whole thing. I don't care about that. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to attract. I want to attract people that are just like me, that are just fascinated by business, that are hungry to continue to grow themselves and the people around them, and that care about tactical things. And so I would recommend you do the same. Make content that you would consume. Getting more eyes on your page by doing flashy shit is not always better, and honestly, in my opinion, it's worse. And the last part of it is if you have an idea of like the ICP or the ideal customer profile that you want to eventually monetize and sell into, also have them in mind when you're making content and try to create content that your ICP would engage with. And so for me, transparently, right now I run ECG, but in the future, I might want to help other people launch and scale their offer, right? And so the ICP that I'm going to be targeting in these videos is a business owner that has expertise and maybe a following in a niche that eventually wants to do coaching but has no idea how to. And they know that the standard guides plus content won't really monetize coaching in the way that they want, and they understand there's more complicated systems behind it. And so my eventual goal is to create a business where I can partner with those people and help them do it the right way. And so I'm going to make content, one, that I would like to consume, but two, that is very targeted to that person, because I know they'll engage with it and it'll build my channel and everything that I'm doing just transparently into a point where I can grow a bigger business. So that's number one. And again, I'm a living example of this. I'm not actively trying to monetize this in any way. I have nothing to sell you right now. And for a while I won't, but I'm just gonna build an audience around it and hopefully give you guys so much free value that come the point where I'm able to take on more customers and I'm not working with the people I'm currently working with, and I have the time or we have the team for it, that I've given you so much free value and so much advice and so much help that I'm the first person you would want to come to and you would want to work with because of that. So that's number one. Number two is you have to develop your offer. And when I say your offer, again, the standard group calls, guides, and a couple one-to-one calls will not work, period, in almost every niche, unless you're in a very, very specific first-to-market niche where no one else is selling a course on that information or mentorship on that information. If you're first to market, you can get away with it. But even with that, you're better off just developing an offer in this structure because you'll monetize it more if you have a better offer structure. Your offer is the number one highest leverage thing that you can do when you're developing a coaching program, because if you nail your offer, everything downstream gets easier. Your marketing converts better, your click-through rates are better, your close rates are better, your LTV will be better if you structure the back end right. So everything gets better from day one. So if you're to focus on one thing, it is nailing an offer. And again, I'll get into more details because I could make a whole hour video about just offer creation alone. But from a high level, you want to get extremely specific of figuring out who you are selling to. And that isn't, in our example, just like, oh, we're selling to Amazon sellers. No, that is, we are selling to people that currently have an Amazon business and want to scale it further, and they realize that the model that they're in has a ceiling, is inconsistent or unstable, and so they want to go to a more secure model through wholesale. And so that's like arbitrage sellers, like myself, that used to go looping at outlets and buying shoes online and stuff, that want to build an actual business, and they can do so through wholesale. That is who we're selling to. And so you want to figure out very specifically who exactly you're selling to. Number two, you want to figure out, again, extremely specific in a lot of detail, the exact problem that you are solving. So for us, that is making the transition into wholesale and taking the first initial steps to build the foundation to scale upon. Because a lot of people, number one, they have no idea how to make the transition. Number two, they have no idea the first steps that they're going to take in the initial blocks that they'll face. Because again, starting wholesale, like any business, there's going to be growing pains, there's going to be initial things that they struggle with. And so our goal is to help them make that transition, fight through those growing pains, and get to the point where they could continue to scale and grow past that. So that's the problem we're solving. And then the specific way that you are solving it. This is your unique mechanism, and this is what's going to make you stand out in your marketing against your competitors. Because right now, we have other competitors that also do the same thing. They are targeting the same person and they're solving the same problem. But what makes us stand out even more is the unique mechanism and the specific way that we're helping those people with that problem. And so for us, without giving away like all the sauce, we have a lot of done-for-you aspects where someone signs up for us, we will actually just do a lot of the things for them that they would normally have to do. And so that's like, I'm not gonna give it all away, but like that's some of the specific ways that we're solving them. So that's developing your offer. Now the next part of that is developing a product that genuinely over-delivers 10x its price. And when I say 10x, I mean that's the minimum. Like what we charge people for ECG, our goal is in the 6-month engagement that they're working with us, that they're on a track to be able to get 10x the return of the initial investment in the remaining 6 months. So basically, the goal is if they pay $5K to work with us, that in the following year, they get at least $50K back from that. That's our goal. And so the way you do this in my experience, and again, I come from a product background, so this is where I've spent majority of my time, is first, you have to get the skeleton down of like what I showed earlier and get the basics down. But when you first sign your initial clients, this is really the period where you'll get your core product developed. Because you don't really know when you're coaching someone, the exact problems that a beginner in today's current state will face when trying to do the same model as you. But when you get your first few clients, you'll figure it out very quickly. And so for your first 5 to 10 clients, do absolutely everything for them. Take infinite one-to-ones with them, build half the business for them if you need to. And number one, this does 2 things. One, it will guarantee that they get results, and then your word of mouth will spread positively. And those 5 people will go to their friends or other people in the space and be like, holy shit, like, dude, I worked with Jack and I have an insane wholesale business now that is ready to just absolutely crush. And then those people will tell other people, and the word of mouth just spreads and spreads and spreads, and that will naturally bring other people into your product. Now, if you do it on the inverse way and you under-deliver for the first 10 people, it puts you behind the ball, because now they're going to talk and be like, either they'll request refunds, or they're going to talk to their friends being like, absolutely do not work with them, it was a shit experience, etc. So that's number one, why you need to be over and delivering for these people. Number 2 is your first few clients give you a shit ton more value than just the money that they're providing you with the sign-up fee. They're going to teach you everything you need to know about how to make a repeatable system and create an even more advanced, unique mechanism with the specific way you're solving the problem that you are. And so for the first 10 people, pay extra close attention to every single step, what problems they face, what things that they're working on, where a lot of their time's getting consumed, where they're getting stuck, how they're breaking through that. Look at all of that. And especially with AI now, you can just record your call transcripts, put it into a database, and then like AI can find these things for you and it can innovate for you. But with that, by finding those things, basically the goal is to find the highest value aspects of your offer that you can deliver upon for the lowest cost possible. So high perceived value and high value and low cost. And so those things will become done for you aspects that for future clients, you can just say, hey, when you get started, you're gonna face X, Y, and Z issue, and we're just gonna do 1, 2, 3 things so that you don't actually face that and you can get right around it. And so then you can create really good done for you offers that don't cost you that much time or money to do and actually help them advance the business and get to success quicker. And so that's why developing a product that generally over delivers 10x the price and doing everything for your first couple clients is so important. And so that's the last part right there, but find aspects that have low cost plus high value. Now, once you do this, you're gonna better craft your sales motion to convert more of your audience. So say you get 10,000 views in a month, by having a better sales motion, you'll convert more of that 10,000, and the more and more you refine your sales motion, you'll just convert a higher and higher percent of the people that are engaging with your stuff. And so to make it super easy for you, because there's a million things that go into this over time, number one, when you're first starting, just reach out to your audience, the people that follow you, the people that like your stuff, the people that are viewing your stories, just reach out to them and say, hey, are you currently doing X business model and the thing that you're trying to teach? That's step 1. Step 2 is make it extremely easy for your audience and the people that follow you to reach out to you to get help. And so this is having a website developed that they can book calls easily through, posted everywhere, and that is extremely visible for them to see. This is doing CTAs on your story and showing people that you actually do coach and support people. This is optimizing your bio to show, I help X person with Y problem. Click the link below if you want to learn more. This is mention it in the videos that you actually make on YouTube and Instagram, saying, if you're X person facing X problem, I can help you get Y result in X amount of time. Click the link below if you want to learn more, if you want to work with me one-to-one. Make it easy for them to talk to you, make it easy for them to reach out to you and get help from you. And the last part is get them on a sales call. And again, on a sales call, there's a million different frameworks and things that you can go into of how to effectively close that higher percent. At the start, keep it dead simple. You should take the sales calls at the way beginning, unless you have a unique situation where your initial following is like huge, then different case, this really doesn't apply to you. You want to make sure everything is extremely dialed in from day one, and that's when it would make sense to work with someone like me so that you don't have any gaps in your process and you don't miss out on cash. But get on the sales calls. First, figure out why they need help. What's their motivation point? What are their pain points? Why are they stuck? Why do they want help? What does that change in their life? What does that change about the business? And then just show them how you can help them and tell them how much it is. And then get them into the product and help them out. And then step 5 is launching it. And again, the note that I have is this is much more complicated than the 5 steps above it to actually launch and do this on a scalable basis and make a lot of money from it. This is just an extremely high level breakdown. And so if you want more details about this launch process, just comment something wherever this video is posted on YouTube or Instagram about what issues you're currently stuck with if you're trying to do coaching, or what issues are, what parts of this are confusing to you, so I can help in more detail. And so I recently took on a client that was not ECG to help them launch their offer with all of ECG's framework, and we have been working together. This is brand new. We've been working together for the last 4 weeks or so. And he collected the day before launch in his pre-launch, he collected $8,000 in cash collected the day before he officially launched. And I would expect him to collect probably roughly 30K in his first month, and we're gonna help him continue to grow after that. And mind you, he has been very consistent with his posting on YouTube and really just YouTube and Twitter over the last couple months and year. But he only has 750 followers on Instagram and 350 subscribers on YouTube. And he made 8.5K on the day before he actually launched. And I expect him to do very well, and we'll continue to grow that audience. But this goes to show, with the proper launch frameworks, and if you do it the right way, you don't need a huge audience to monetize it well. You just need an extremely niche audience that actually is getting value from you. And if you have the right launch mechanisms in place, you can monetize it well. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Again, this is kind of my story plus how we launched ECG and how I've done some of the things that I've done so far and my knowledge that or the lessons that I've learned from it. I'm gonna be making a lot more videos going into the tactical breakdowns about everything we talked about, because again, there's 100 things from point A to point Z of running a coaching business and growing to 200, 250K a month. And so I'm gonna try to help you guys do the same. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or comment below. And hopefully this was valuable for you guys. Thanks again.